Over the last few weeks, I found myself spending a lot of time in our schools, both of our primary schools and up at the high school. And even one day last week, last Monday, I found myself sitting in the head teacher's chair of Our Lady's, taking a selfie and then sending it to her. I felt like a Lord Sugar, not going to lie. I felt like the power surge. And it's always a great pleasure to spend time with the schools. I don't know if the teachers will say the same thing, mind, but it's a great part of our life. And indeed, our schools are an important part of parish life. Our schools reach far and wide into the community, into the life of our community through the parents who choose to send their children there. And whatever stage of faith our parents are at, or the children are at, I think we can all acknowledge together that our schools have such a unique role to play in the mission and the outreach of the church, of always not being afraid to go out into the whole world and proclaim the good news, as St. Mark puts it in his Gospel. And the mission that the school gives is always something that continues to be pointed outwards, continues to be something that reaches out. And we think we can how that's shown in the lives of our schools through the tremendous link that there is between the SVP and the schools through the mini-vinnies, particularly, who work so hard throughout the year. Our schools are worth our spiritual investment and our continued prayers. They have a very tough and challenging task. As I sat in on one of the classes last week, trying to behave myself, truth be told, my mind sort of began to look around and to look at the children, the teachers, the work around the room. And I began to reflect upon what is it then that makes these institutions stand out? What underpins the whole of their existence? What is it that all this spiritual investment and prayers makes this investment worth it? And I think that the gospel today begins to provide us an answer to that on lots of different levels. At the surface level, the gospel today presents us with the established conditions for human flourishing, which we hear at the heart of which we can hear Jesus pronounce, "Treat others as you would like them to treat you." I think you will all agree that this instruction of Jesus is a universal statement. I think nearly all of us agree that treating others as we would like them to treat us is a true starting point. And indeed it forms the hinge statement, if you like, for other statements that Jesus says in that instruction to be added to it. We hear Jesus instruct his followers to be compassionate, not to judge. If each person followed these universal conditions for flourishing, just think about what a difference it would make to our world, to the place in which we live. How much closer together we would be. How our fraternity and our solidarity with each other would be really solidified by a true bond of love, rather than to be fragmented through division and sin. And yet, while our schools offer our young people these conditions for human flourishing at this level, and throughout the year they practice the teaching of the virtues, something which really underpins everything in which their classes and the ethos and the outward mission is focused to, there is something more profound at work in our schools. something which goes deeper and which envelops all of this in a unique way. What underpins everything that is done as part of the mission of the school, the outward look of the school, the whole ethos of the school, if you like, is that it promotes and develops the whole human person in every aspect of their life. It's not focused in on one single thing. It looks at the individual as a whole, whether it's the younger members of our community or whether it's the teachers themselves or the domestic staff. Look into the development of the whole. No one is excluded from that, and I think that's important. The authentic development of the whole person is something which is unique for the mission of our schools. And so we cannot measure flourishing of an individual merely on a single item. It's not merely about getting that A star, but it's about the individual growing to become the best possible version of themselves. And I think that not every institution in our world is able to offer this same thing. And I think that as I look around, perhaps some of us have been away from school for 1 or 2 years, perhaps. It's quite scary to think it's 20 years since I left school. And so we can seem far away from benefiting from this. And yet, the ethos of our schools and the mission of our schools is to reach out to us too, offers us something, offers us the potential to give us tools so that we can develop ourselves in a holistic way, to develop the whole person, so that we can be the best possible version of ourselves, made in the image and likeness of God, called to do something great for him. Because we can sort of split ourselves up, can't we? We can cause a duality in our existence. We can do the churchy bit and keep it in a box, the work bit, keep it in a box, the social bit, keep it in a box, home life, keep it in a box. And that's that fragmentation that I spoke about earlier, that splitting up. And what our schools teach us and the quiet mission which they shine into our parish life show us is that we need to bring these strands together to create and to form and develop the whole person, body and soul, to look for an authentic flourishing that encompasses everything about us in every stream of our existence. So the gospel offers us today multiple layers for our flourishing. Those conditions which are good on the surface, virtuous, and those things at the deeper level. And these instructions of Jesus remind us that they're not just human endeavors, human instructions which are good things themselves, but there's something supernatural. I love these words from Pope Paul VI, who speaks about the development of peoples. And he says, "United with the life-giving Christ, man's life is newly enhanced." Isn't that such a wonderful statement? And that gives us the thrust of our orientation, what it's all about, that united with the life-giving Christ, man's life is newly enhanced. As we continue to journey and discover the true life that we are really made for, let us not lose sight of that ultimate goal which Pope Paul VI speaks of, to be united with the life-giving Christ. Amen.